Asterisk title: The routine call that changed in seconds. Real police body cam story asterisk asterisk every day. Police officers across the United States respond to thousands of emergency calls. Most end peacefully. Others become unpredictable in a matter of moments. On this day, officers were dispatched to what initially appeared to be another routine call. There was little reason to expect that, within minutes, they would be facing one of the most intense situations of their shift. As officers approached the location, they immediately began assessing the scene. From the outside, everything seemed relatively quiet. However, experience had taught them that appearances could change without warning. As they moved closer, they noticed an individual whose behavior quickly raised concern. Officers calmly began issuing clear verbal commands, asking the person to stop and show his hands. Instead of immediately cooperating, the individual hesitated. The atmosphere shifted almost instantly. Several officers repeated their commands, giving the man multiple opportunities to comply. Their voices remained firm and controlled as they worked to de-escalate the encounter while maintaining a safe distance. For a brief moment, it appeared that the situation might calm down. Then everything changed. The individual made movements that officers interpreted as potentially dangerous. Within seconds, additional commands echoed across the scene as officers focused on preventing anyone nearby from being placed at risk. Body camera footage captured the urgency in their voices. Each officer communicated constantly with the others, ensuring everyone understood what was happening and where the potential threat might be. The encounter unfolded rapidly. Officers repositioned themselves to improve their view while continuing to encourage the individual to follow instructions peacefully. Their priority remained the same throughout the incident: resolve the situation while protecting everyone present. At one point, officers believed the individual had let go of an object that had become the center of their concern. For a brief second, it looked as though the confrontation might be ending, but almost immediately afterward, the situation became uncertain again. From different angles, officers attempted to confirm exactly what had happened. Communication between team members became even more important as everyone worked together under intense pressure. Additional officers soon arrived, allowing the scene to be secured from multiple directions. Rather than rushing forward, they carefully coordinated their movements, making sure each officer understood his or her responsibility. Before taking the next step, every decision had to be made in seconds. The body camera footage highlights just how quickly circumstances can evolve during incidents like these. Commands were repeated not only for the individual involved, but also so every officer on scene remained aware of the changing situation. As more resources arrived, officers established safer positions around the area. Their objective was clear: gain control while minimizing unnecessary risk. Eventually, the object that had caused the greatest concern was safely separated from the individual. Only then were officers able to begin moving closer. Even so, they remained cautious. Incidents like this rarely become safe the moment an object is no longer within someone's reach. Officers are trained to assume conditions can change again without warning, which is why every movement is carefully coordinated. With the scene becoming more stable, officers continued giving calm, direct instructions. Slowly, the encounter began moving toward a safer conclusion, but the work was far from over. Once immediate concerns had been addressed, officers carefully secured the surrounding area and began confirming that everyone involved was safe. Medical personnel were requested to evaluate the situation as standard procedure, while investigators prepared to document every detail of the incident. Scenes like this demonstrate how rapidly routine calls can become highly dynamic situations. For officers, every encounter demands continuous communication, teamwork, and careful judgment. Decisions often have to be made in moments, based on the information available at that exact time. As the investigation continued, authorities worked to determine the complete sequence of events leading up to the confrontation. Body camera footage, witness statements, and physical evidence would all become important parts of that process. While every incident is different, one lesson remains consistent: calls that begin as ordinary responses can change dramatically within seconds, reminding both officers and the public how unpredictable real-life emergencies can be. And this was only the beginning of the story. For just a moment, it seemed the situation might finally be under control. Officers continued giving calm, direct instructions, hoping the individual would remain where he was and bring the encounter to a peaceful end. Instead, his movements became increasingly difficult to predict. Several officers immediately alerted the rest of the team after noticing what they believed was another attempt to move toward the object that had already become the center of everyone's attention. The atmosphere changed once again. Without speaking over one another, officers quickly communicated what they were seeing, allowing everyone on the scene to react together instead of individually. That coordination would prove essential over the next several seconds, rather than rushing in. The team carefully adjusted their positions, using available cover while maintaining visual contact with the individual. Every movement was deliberate, reducing unnecessary risk while giving clear opportunities for the situation to end peacefully. Additional units arriving at the scene immediately joined the coordinated response. Some officers focused entirely on the individual, while others secured nearby areas, making sure no bystanders accidentally entered the scene. Even during the most stressful moments, protecting the public remained a priority. As commands continued, officers closely watched every movement. Small actions that might seem insignificant to an outside observer can carry a very different meaning during a rapidly evolving incident. Because of that, officers relied not only on what they personally saw, but also on constant communication from their teammates. Within moments, the object of concern was no longer within the individual's immediate control. That development allowed officers to cautiously shift to the next phase of the response. A protective shield was brought forward as the team prepared to move in safely. Instead of acting hastily, they waited until everyone was in position before taking another step. Each officer understood their role. One group maintained verbal communication. Another provided cover. Others watched the surrounding area to ensure no new threats appeared unexpectedly. Only after confirming that the immediate risk had been reduced did officers begin moving closer. Even then, they advanced slowly, carefully checking every angle before crossing into the open. Body camera footage shows just how disciplined these moments can be. While the encounter lasted only minutes, every decision required constant assessment, communication, and teamwork. As officers closed the distance, they continued issuing simple, clear instructions, giving the individual every opportunity to cooperate. The tension remained high. No one could be certain how the next few seconds would unfold. Finally, after several tense moments, officers were able to safely secure the scene. The immediate danger had passed, but the operation itself was not yet over. With the area now under control, officers shifted their attention toward confirming everyone's condition, preserving the scene, and beginning the next stage of what would become a detailed investigation. For those watching later on body camera footage, the encounter may appear to unfold quickly for the officers standing only a few yards away. However, every second demanded complete focus, careful judgment, and decisions that had to be made in real time. The investigation would soon reveal even more about what had led to this intense encounter, but those answers were still ahead.
With the immediate threat appearing to subside, officers knew they couldn't let their guard down just yet. Even though the most critical moments seemed to be over, everyone on the scene understood that situations like this can change again without warning. One unexpected movement could force another split-second decision. The team continued advancing with extreme caution. Using coordinated communication, officers confirmed that the object of concern had been moved far enough away to reduce the immediate risk. Still, no one approached carelessly. Every few steps, they paused to reassess the scene before moving forward again. As they closed the distance, clear verbal instructions continued. The goal remained exactly the same as it had been from the very beginning. gain control of the situation as safely as possible while avoiding any unnecessary escalation. One officer maintained constant communication with dispatch, providing updates as additional personnel arrived to support the operation. Others focused entirely on securing the perimeter, making sure no bystanders wandered into the area. The body camera footage highlights how structured these responses really are. While the public often remembers only the most dramatic moments, much of an officer's work involves patience, communication, and careful coordination behind the scenes. Once officers were confident the immediate danger had been contained, they began securing the area for investigators. Every item that could become evidence was left exactly where it was found. Rather than moving objects unnecessarily, officers documented their locations and preserved the scene for the investigation that would follow. Medical personnel were also requested as part of standard procedure to evaluate everyone involved. Meanwhile, supervisors arrived to review the situation firsthand. Critical incidents require multiple levels of documentation, ensuring every important detail is accurately recorded. As the initial adrenaline began to wear off, officers quietly discussed the sequence of events with one another, confirming timelines and observations while everything was still fresh in their memory. These conversations would later be compared with body camera recordings, radio transmissions, and witness statements to create a complete picture of what had occurred. Investigators also started examining what happened before the first patrol unit ever arrived. What information had dispatch received? Were there warning signs before officers made contact? Could anything have predicted how quickly the encounter would unfold? Answering those questions would become an important part of the investigation. Although the encounter itself lasted only a short time, the review process would continue for many hours. Every camera angle would be analyzed. Every radio transmission would be replayed. Every decision would be carefully examined according to department policy and the facts available at that exact moment. For the officers involved, the incident served as another reminder that no two calls are ever the same. A response that begins as routine can transform into a rapidly evolving situation within seconds, demanding calm judgment, teamwork, and constant communication under pressure. By the end of the operation, the scene had finally become quiet again. The flashing emergency lights remained. Investigators continued their work, and officers completed the long process that follows every major incident. But for everyone who had been there that day, the events captured on those body cameras would remain a lasting reminder of just how unpredictable real-world police calls can become.